I'm here with Jesus knocking answer.
That's it.
JK, how you doing?
Doing good, man. I just got done from going live, so always at the grind.
Definitely, man. I came across your videos on TikTok. How long have you been doing music?
So I mean, I started doing music when I was like, I mean, I've been doing this ever since I can remember, like 6, 7 years old. But I mean, it kind of was like a pipe dream at first, where it's like, every kid wants to be a musician. Your parents kind of like support it in a way that they're like, yeah, you'll be a rapper. But then I was like 8 years old, and there was a contest where they're like, yo, we needed any freestylers, and I went up. My parents were like, this could be something real. And then since then, I've been producing, working on music, releasing. I think I dropped my first like mixtape when I was 13, I want to say. And then I started to really take it seriously when I turned about 16 or 17. I started to like promote on social media. I got on TikTok, I got on Instagram, and I started like being real with it.
Most
But it's
definitely.
been
Were you always doing Christian music?
Yeah, so I got saved when I was 8 years old. So before I was eight, like I was kind of just very new to music. I was kind of just like freestyling, singing like fun stuff. So I wouldn't say it was Christian or not Christian. It was just like what a 6-year-old would sing. And then as soon as I got saved, I was like, well, I'm gonna see if I can use this talent that I know that I have and do it for God. And yeah, ever since then, everything I've done has been Christian. Every feature I've done has been Christian. Every song, all of that.
So, what led to you being saved?
So I mean, my parents kind of like raised me up. Like we weren't like a church family per se. Like we went here and there, but we never found one that we really felt we belonged in. So they kind of just raised me up with like the mindset that Jesus died for you, God loves you, you can go to heaven when you die if you believe that. And like, the kind of like basic upbringing of that, but I wasn't really necessarily saved with a relationship with God. So what happened was they're trying to get me into understanding it through music because music was always huge for me. So we found some Christian artists. We went to a Christian festival, and at the festival they advertised this movie God's Not Dead. And so I went to see God's Not Dead, and there was just something in me that like saw that movie and was like, I don't know how to do this, but I'm ready and I want to be saved. And then it was really kind of a cool experience because like from then I would definitely say I was saved, but I would not say I had a relationship. I was kind of like trying to do the way of like following God that a lot of Christians do, where you're just kind of like telling everyone else why they're wrong. And like you're not showing love, you're not really following God. You're just, I know this is true and you should too. And so what ended up happening was I kind of fell off what I was doing. I got involved into doing some stuff I wasn't proud of. I started drinking a lot, started partying, started smoking, and then I got addicted to that. And it took about 2 years of that until finally God like came to me and was like, "Why are you doing this? This isn't right for you." And then from that day on, I really started to develop a relationship, and because what it was for me was I needed to see what life was without God so I could understand what life could be with God. And then once I saw what it was with him, the relationship changed. I was so on fire for him. And I switched from everyone needs to know the truth because it's the truth to I want everyone to know the truth because it's an amazing, it's a beautiful thing. And the love of God is just something that I want everyone to feel. And it really kind of just switched my narrative and switched my point of view. And then since then, I've been on fire for God. I told my parents everything I did, and I've never been closer to them and never been closer to God. And I've just been living my life for Him and trying to get the word out about Him.
Man, you mentioned the movie God's Not Dead, and that has Kevin Sorbo. He played Hercules. That's a really great movie. What was it about that movie that resonated with you?
Um, I don't know exactly why it like stuck with me so much. I think it was just a matter of the fact that like I was watching someone on the movie who was so passionate about God that he's willing to go against his professor for a grade to prove it. And like I think it was just a matter of like me seeing that and being like, I don't understand why someone will be so passionate about something unless it's something that's worth being that passionate about. And then I think it was really the ending where you saw this professor his whole time swearing against God. I'm not going to believe that. I'm not okay with that. And at the very end, he got saved. And I think it was kind of just that display of the grace of God made me realize I want this. A grace that is not going to hold a grudge, a grace that is going to forgive me for everything I've done, a grace that can wipe my slate clean is something that I want to be a part of. And I think it was just those two factors that really just made it be like, I need this, I want this. How we start, guys. So.
Talk about them briefly having substance abuse issues. What would be your advice to people who are struggling with those same issues?
I mean, to be completely honest, I don't know how I would have stopped my substance issues if not for God. Because I had a lot of like I got into a lot of it. Some of it is still kind of a battle today, but I'm working on it. But I mean, with a lot of it, like I would try to stop, or I'd be like, okay, I'm stopping. Like I got into vaping because I was trying to stop myself from smoking, and then I needed like a time where I pretty much almost like lost my breath, and it scared me so much that I was like, this isn't worth it. But every time I really feel like it was God who was like the reason that I was able to stop because I knew that it wasn't right for me. So to be completely honest, like if I didn't have God, I don't know if I could have stopped. I mean, I guess a lot of what I could say is like the determination is really important. Like you really have to have the mindset that I'm done, I'm gonna stop. There are no excuses because as soon as you have that one time where you're like, nah, just this one time's okay, or if I get too sad, I'm gonna do it. If I get to where it's my last resort, I'm gonna do it. As soon as you make loopholes for it, you're going right back into it. Because for me, I didn't make a single loophole. I was like, it's the last time I'm smoking, I'm done. And I did not touch one again after that day. And I think that that was a lot of it was just the determination of I'm done. I'm not going back to it.
Most definitely. One of the things I really enjoy about your content, you do a lot of freestyles and you freestyle over secular beats, but it's Christian rap. And I thought like, it's really a unique perspective. What gave you that idea?
I mean, honestly, it was just a matter of like when I first started freestyling, it was kind of just like I would just try and find beats. I would do some Christian, some secular, and then people always like my audience is a lot more secular than it is Christian, which I always think is kind of a blessing because like I forget who said it, but like someone has said like who needs to hear God more, someone who already knows him or someone who's never heard him before. So like
Right.
I think it's kind of a blessing that my audience is as secular as it is. But with that being the case, like you're always gonna have secular beat requests. You're gonna like of course you're gonna have the Nas, the Eminem, the Tupac because everyone wants to hear the greatest beats of like that started the rap game essentially. But then you're also gonna have like some like really dark stuff like Suicide Boys in there because it's all different walks of life. And I mean, it was just kind of a thing where I was like, I mean, I don't know. I thought it was a cool way to bridge together the fact of Christianity and secular and not like when I freestyle on them, I'm not trying to copy them. I'm not trying to sound like Logic. I'm not trying to sound like Suicide Boys. Like I'm still JK.A, but it's on their beats. And I've actually had some backlash about that from some Christians for supporting secular music and for using it in songs. And they've like told me like, how can you, you know, be of God, but also submit yourself to things of this world. And my biggest mindset with it was, well, you have to go into the world to reach the world. If I'm only on Christian beats, if I'm only having a Christian audience, there's no one that I can reach through what God is doing for me. There's no one that I can talk to about God that hasn't already like heard of him before. Whereas when you get into where you're with a secular audience on secular beats, but you're a Christian in a secular world, then that opens up opportunities. And I noticed that when I started to get into like the underground rap scene, I really got into like surrounded by a lot of secular artists, and I was the only Christian there. I was the only true Christian rapper who was there. But it was really kind of cool because there would be conversations there that wouldn't have been there before. Like the amount of group chats where you would go from talking about what they would usually talk about, like drugs or women or just something like that, to where now you're talking about God, you're talking about a relationship with God, you're talking about the idea of faith in itself. And I really feel like those conversations might not have happened had I not have been in that area. And that's where I really think you got to go into the world to change it, to affect it.
Right. That makes perfect sense and a great perspective. I think I read Trip Lee's book. He's a Christian artist, and he was
Yeah.
talking the struggle with not listening to secular music. Or do you feel like, that you can listen to secular music?
So I mean, it's always kind of been like everything I live my life with is always kind of like what I feel like God is telling me. So I feel like for certain people it affects them differently because I've heard some people who like seriously they hear secular music and it's just negative and it's angry and they're like, I can't do this. I need to have the worship music. I need the Forrest Frank. I need the Lecrae. I need the Triple E. I need the Casting Crowns. I need that in my life. Whereas for me, I see music as art. I see music as just the art that some people create. And I feel like you can find, if you really are looking, you can find God in anything. Like my parents have always been able to like go to the zoo and like see an animal and find God in that. And like it's not a Christian zoo that it didn't say right outside the zoo, God made this creature, but they were able to see God made this creature. That's so beautiful. So I mean, that's kind of how I look at it with music. Like there are some songs. There's one. Imagine Dragons, I want to say it is, and the song is like "This is where my demons hide," and it's not a Christian song. But I watched a Easter Sunday special where they took secular music and they put them into Christian situations. So they told like the story of Jesus through secular music, and they put that song at the part where Judas betrayed Jesus, and it was the coolest thing ever because you were getting to see a song that wasn't originally Christian, but that was perfectly fitting into Christian themes. And it really showed that, like, if you're looking for God, you can find him anywhere. Like, when I listen to Tupac, I can hear in Dear Mama when he's talking about how thankful he is for his mom and the fact that God gave him his mom to him,
Right.
and like how grateful he is, and just the faith that resonates there. Even though he's not a Christian rapper, the elements of it are there. So I mean, I've always, and that's where again it's another area of backlash because a lot of Christians are like, you can't listen to it at all. I've always thought that it's kind of like a very individual kind of basis. Like if it's not going to affect you negatively, I think that's between you and God. But for me and God, like I love music. I love all kinds of music. I respect all kinds of music. The first people to do it, people who are still doing it now. I listen to all of it because I think you also have to make sure that you're not ignorant to the game. Because for the longest time, I only did old rap. I would not listen to the new rap. And like I was like Kendrick Lamar, I think is one of the greatest lyricists
Yeah.
of ever, pretty much. And I used to hate on him so much because I pulled him into all the new rappers who were not as lyrically intricate as he was. And I really like I was very ignorant. I would not use auto tune. Like there was a lot of areas where I was halting my own success because I refused to check it out. And that's where I think that it is important to also dive into it, especially as a musician, because I mean a lot of it is just that you got to know what else is going on in the scene. You got to know who else is in the scene because it's a lot of like you can take inspiration from that. You can There's just a lot of factors that are with that.
Definitely. You're in college right now. What are you studying?
So, I'm in college for communication. I've always had a big passion for just like speaking, for just I've always wanted to be a public speaker. So that's like one of the areas I'm trying to like get done. And then a dream that I've had for a while is I want to start like my own church because I've always noticed that like worship music I don't resonate with as much. Like I kind of like I don't want to say I get bored with it, but like it doesn't make me feel connected to God. But if I go to a KB concert, the Craig concert, Christian rap concert, Christian rock concert, whatever, I resonate so much with God. Like I'm on fire for God. And I started thinking like, I wonder how many other Christians out there that there are that won't go to church because they're not liking the music played there. So I've always kind of had this passion to start a church where like it starts later in the day and it's like a concert there. Like that I kind of want to go into communication like to help out that in a way too. And what ended up happening was I had a show recently where they wanted a youth pastor to like talk to the youth and whatnot. And I was trying to find anyone to do it because I had never preached before. Like I've been rapping, I've been doing music, whatever. I've been doing ministry with music, but I've never just done ministry. And I was scared. I was like, God, I don't think I'm ready for this. I need someone else to do it. Every single youth pastor I contacted had a wedding, had their own thing to do. And it was very clear that God was like, no, I want you to do this. So first time ever, I did a youth pastor. I had like 20 kids, played a game, did a talk, and I kept it like very like kid friendly, but I still talked about like my struggles and everything like that. And as soon as I was done, my parents were like, "Yeah, I think you got to be a pastor," because it flowed too naturally. So that's another thing I'm trying to do with communication, like with the public speaking, motivational speaker, going from school to school, which is a dream of mine, is also at my church. Maybe I want to pastor, or maybe I want to be a youth pastor at it. And I feel like a communication degree can just help me in all those areas because it can show like whoever I'm trying to get to have me on to say like I can talk to people, I can speak well, and then I can use what God's given me through what I'm getting in my degree to bring out the message, and everything is done for me.
Most definitely. Do you have any upcoming releases?
So I got a song, it's called Bulletproof. It's a very experimental song. My friend basically sent me a beat, and it was a beat I never tried before. It's in a genre called hyperpop.
Okay.
And I like was getting into it a little bit, but I'd never really done much of it. And he sent it to me, and I was like, I'll see if I use it. And then I ended up writing a banger to it. I'm really proud of this song. But it's an experimental song. It's called Bulletproof, and it drops next Friday. And then after that, really hoping by the end of the year to get an album out because the album is called Reflection. And I wasn't ready to drop it then because like as that was happening, I was struggling with my substance abuse and I wasn't ready to tell the world about all that stuff. But like, and now looking on the other side, reflecting on what that did for me, where how God brought me from that. Like, I feel that's a story that I really need to share and I need to tell. So I want to get it out sooner than later while like that's still relevant to me and still recent, but it's just a matter of all the work that goes into putting out an album. But I'm hoping by the end of the year, on top of like my new songs like Bulletproof and like Should Have Been Me, that I also have an album.
Definitely. JK.A, thank you so much for taking the time.
Yes, sir. Thank you. God bless.
God bless you.